What's going on, all you wild Westeros enthusiasts? It's your two favorite Targaryen impersonators back here. I'm Logan Targaryen. That's good, my good mate over there.
And I'm George R. R. Martin. Welcome, returning to the world of Game of Thrones. Talking about the return of the dragons. We've been waiting for them for a while now. We're talking about the prequel series to Game of Thrones. What's it called?
House of the Dragon. Yeah, the intro of the show is not like Game of Thrones. I was hoping for the beginning to be somewhat similar. It's a little different, but it really sets the tone of the show. This is a prequel of the great and phenomenal series Game of Thrones that ran for 8 seasons on HBO, and now we're getting the prequel, like most movies and television. This takes place 172 years before the Game of Thrones Daenerys Targaryen, Khaleesi, and this is her family and their dynasty and how they became this massive family that really ran Westeros back in those days. Very powerful. They controlled everything. And this is really a take and a look at that family, how it all kind of began.
Absolutely. It's really the story about those blonde wigs and how they brought these blonde wigs to the world. And, it just took off and they took over the world basically through all these gorgeous blonde hair. Just kidding, of course. But yes, right off the bat, we are taken back into the world that George R. R. Martin created. We saw in Game of Thrones, and we're brought back to the world of the Targaryens, and we know we're in for some craziness involved with this clan, this family, and this world. And immediately we see some more dragons show up. Obviously, with Khaleesi being the mother of dragons, we're brought back into this world, and we find out that hundreds of years before there were dragons running free, and those wild Targaryens weren't any less crazy and wild. And right away in the first episode, we get some great scenes of brutality, sex, murder, decapitation, scorched earth, dragons breathing fire all over everybody. We get everything in the first episode. They really throw everything that you can, that you love from the Game of Thrones show back at us in the first episode of House of Dragon. It's basically an introduction into this world, into the family of the Targaryens. We have this older, Jaehaerys Targaryen who is reaching the end of his days, and he needs to pick the rightful heir to the throne. And it's a battle between him, Paddy Considine's character Viserys Targaryen, and his brother Matt Smith's character playing Daemon Targaryen. And right away we have the intrigue and the family scandal and that angle that Game of Thrones is for. And right away, that's what we are introduced to in the first episode.
Knowing Game of Thrones, our favorite characters of the series is always the bad guys. And Matt Smith playing Daemon is much in the same vein as Game of Thrones, obviously Targaryen, but he's a bitter man, and a guy you really can't trust, and he's kind of a piece of shit in the first episode. So it's really kind of setting up his character. As you can see, that it's a character that we're gonna love and hate at the same time. And he really played that really fantastic, sex scenes and everything going on. Some really good battle scenes in this, in a particular scene with him and another guy, just like duking it out, super gory, and definitely bringing all the A game when it comes to effects and gore and whatnot, and all the things that we loved about Game of Thrones. So bringing it back with this series. So I loved his character. Then you have Rhaenyra, that was played by Millie Alcock. She plays the daughter of Viserys, played by Uncle Patty, that was in the Edgar Wright movies. Loved him in Hot Fuzz. But him playing this character, the king, the young daughter, she's very ambitious, courageous, strong, much like Daenerys, Khaleesi, very independent. It really sets up where her character's going towards the end of the first episode.
One thing you'll notice right away is all the effects, all the set pieces look exactly like they did from Game of Thrones. We're getting, we're getting some of the same directors, the same writers, not the same, the same exact. It's not Benioff and Weiss anymore. What you'll notice right away is the quality hasn't let up from Game of Thrones, and that's partly because we have some of the same writers and directors coming over from that world, and taking us into this new world, taking place 200 years ago in the House of Dragon. So that's one thing I noticed right away. The same awesome effects, everything looks beautiful. The CGI, the dragons look amazing. The cinematography, the scope, the world that they created here it looked a lot like how it did in Game of Thrones. So no, the quality hasn't let up. The HBO is definitely giving this the max budget. The costumes are great. They really got some great actors and actresses to play these parts, and that's really in this first episode. That's what I noticed right away. Try to do a cheap budget Game of Thrones. They're definitely going to try to teach us about the Targaryens, what happened before Khaleesi, and all that, and they're going to do it with this new cast of actors, and they really hired some great ones, especially like you mentioned, Paddy Considine. He's been great in everything. Yeah, the Edgar Wright films, just a fantastic actor. And we're going to get some other characters coming in the weeks to come. We're going to see an older version of Rhaenyra, played by Emma Darcy, coming over. We also have Rhys Ifans, who played Otto Hightower. He's in the cast as well. And we're going to get Olivia Cook eventually too, as an older version of a character. So I'm very much looking forward to it. Yes, a great cast and some great action sequences, like we mentioned. I love the joust. That really was awesome, and something we didn't see a lot of in Game of Thrones. I felt like that was something new to this world. And Matt Smith, the scenes with him, he really left a lasting impression. He's going to be somebody we're going to be following throughout this first season. And as always with Game of Thrones, there's going to be huge deaths. And characters that we're not going to see. We're not going to see their deaths coming. It's going to be that same magic with Game of Thrones. It feels like with House of Dragon.
I never thought I would need something like this to be back in the Game of Thrones world, Westeros, King's Landing. But man, it really was amazing. I had a great time in the first episode. It's a beautifully shot, well done. They spent a lot of money, obviously, on the effects and just building this world again. And it broke what the records of the HBO Max, I believe, being the most viewed.
Broke this, highest viewed show on HBO
Max. Highest viewed show on HBO Max, and I can see why. It just was a great introduction to these characters that from the past 172 years before, Targaryen family, all different characters who will sit on the Iron Throne. It's just always inner turmoil and relationship problems and death and just a lot of bad things happening. You don't know who to trust. You also see little glimpses of Lannisters, Starks in this throughout as well, but they don't focus too much on that. It's more the Targaryens, but you see them kind of in the background, family members, years ago. So it was really cool. It still felt like in the world, but it had a new refreshing take on it at the same time. But I was really blown away by the first episode. I really had a great time with the cast. I like what they did with that. The real MVPs of the episode of the wigs, of the blonde wigs with everybody having dark eyebrows.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, the real MVPs here, Uncle Patty, King Viserys. I thought he was fantastic. I loved Rhaenyra's character, where she's going to go in the future episodes, an older version. And she's going to be much like, her relative being Daenerys. So yeah, it's really great. I love Matt Smith anyways. I love Doctor Who, and I love seeing him play a bad guy too, because he can really portray that character really well. It's a guy that you're gonna love to hate, throughout the series. And I'm interested to see who he kills off in the future episodes. But I like what they did with that character. Love seeing all the dragons being back in this world. Had a great time with this. Very excited to see how this all pans out. And also, there's a little glimpse, a little talk about the White Walkers without giving too much away. So I'm excited what they do with that. So with that being said, I'll give the first episode of House of the Dragon that's currently streaming on HBO Max. First episode. A 4 out of 5. Rhaenyra hair pieces.
I agree with a lot of what you said, pretty much all of it, everything, the scope of the show, the acting, the story, we're going to learn about what happened before, what we saw in Game of Thrones, all this information we're going to get, all these, characters that we're going to see grow over how many ever seasons we're going to get of the show. A very strong start on HBO Max. And, I can't wait to see Matt Smith's character. You can tell he's going to do some fucked up stuff. He's going to be that character in this first season. And I can't wait to see, like I mentioned before, the introduction to the older characters of Rhaenyra, Emma Darcy, and Olivia Cook. I can't wait to see her come over. There's going to be some awesome stuff with them. This is more, obviously with Game of Thrones, we had Daenerys' story. She wasn't like the sole focus, whereas this House of Dragon really feels like they're going to put the emphasis on the, the women, which is awesome, because these are obviously with the Targaryens. When you think of that, you think of Khaleesi, and we're going to be talking about, her relatives all these, years before. And we're also going to see all these awesome characters, that we knew in the show. Obviously, the Starks family, and we're going to, go to all these other places that we've been, and even some places that, we haven't been before with the show. Everything looks great. Everything's top notch. I love this first episode. A great introduction. It can only go up from here. I can't wait to see the story play out over the first season. I'm fully in. So with that being said, I'm going to give House of Dragon a 4 out of 5 Targaryen hair wig pieces.
I want to hear from all you Game of Thrones enthusiasts. What did you like about the first episode of House of the Dragon? What didn't you like about it? Let us know in the comments below, and don't forget to click subscribe. Also, check out these wild Targaryen enthusiasts on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and our website, Cinephellas.com, for the latest, greatest TV, movie news, and reviews.
Did you guys all love going back into this world of Game of Thrones? George R.R. Martin still isn't done with the new book, but at least we have his old material to go over. I don't know if we're ever going to get the finish of that, but that's okay. We have, these prequel series coming out, and let's hope they really nail this one. Going by what we saw from the first episode, I have high hopes for this series. So thank you guys for watching our review of House of the Dragon. Let us know what you guys thought about the show. And until the next Cinephellas TV review, I'm Uncle Henry Targaryen.
And I'm Uncle Patty the Batty. Until next time, cheers!
I never wanted to be Lord Commander.